Friend, welcome to the Pastor's Podcast Friday morning, and it's good to have you with me as we close out the week. We have had a wonderful week here. I have here at the Maranatha Baptist Church, and of course, we soul winning is big here. We always try to get out. Yesterday had a good day. I was able to go soul with one of my assistant pastors, Brother Mark Trimble, and God was blessed us. Together, we had 5 people saved. I was able to lead a husband and wife to Christ. They're committed to come on Sunday. And others committed to come, looking forward to a good week, seeing what God's going to do this weekend as we've labored during the week. You can't expect anything to happen on Sunday if you're not laboring in the week. Sunday is a result, get this now, of what you did 2 to 3 weeks ago, really not what you've done this week. I've learned that when I labor hard this week, it affects maybe not quite this Sunday. It does, but it also affects the next Sunday as well. And so that's why we've got to keep on going forward every week. You never stop. It's just something about that follow up that God gives us, that if you keep going, the blessings every day. A lot of times what I experience on this Sunday is because of what happened 2 weeks ago or 2 to 3 weeks ago in the soul winning time. And so when your soul winning goes down, you may have a good Sunday right after that week, but then the next week it really kind of hits you. And so that's why I encourage you. Let's stay faithful in this area of soul winning, and let's do what we ought to do. And this Sunday now, Maranatha Baptist Church, very critical Sunday. I've been asking you to fast and pray for one day this week, asking God to help our Sunday night services. I would encourage you you be here Sunday morning, but especially Sunday night. Critical service Sunday night for the future of Maranatha Baptist Church. And I would encourage every Maranatha Baptist Church member, you be in your place. These are exciting days to be in. And I'd encourage you to make sure you're in your place as we try to please the Lord this weekend. Well, let's talk about the importance of record keeping. In Numbers chapter 7 and verse 10, the scripture says, and the princes offered for dedicating of the altar in the day that it was anointed. Even the princes offered their offering before the altar. Now, when the tabernacle was set up for the first time, the prince from each tribe came and offered sacrifices and offerings for the tabernacle. Now, when you read this chapter of the book of Numbers chapter 7, when you read it, you're going to see that each offering and sacrifice, it was the same, but God still recorded the individual's name and who gave the sacrifice and the offering. Now, someone had to record these offerings and sacrifices, which shows the importance God places on record keeping. Now, I know a lot of times we read number 7, becomes a boring chapter to many, but you got to understand God's teaching a principle. Record keeping often dictates how well an organization runs and how much it will grow. Now, you show me those who have detailed records, and I will show you someone who cares about what they do. In the church I pastor, I keep very detailed records in many areas of our church. Each record tells me a story about the health of our church and where we're going. Now, if you're flippant about keeping records in your church, you will find yourself struggling to grow. But if you are diligent to keep detailed records, you're going to find that God uses those records to help you grow into a thriving church. If you use those records, get this now, for good. Now, let me share several things about what record keeping will do for you. And by the way, this works on an individual basis as well as it does on a ministry basis. First, records reveal your interest in what you're doing for God. Now, if you're not interested in keeping records, you're probably not that interested in God's work. The scriptures are God's records that he kept. And if God felt it was important to keep records, I would think that we would have the same diligence to see the importance, the importance of records, to the passion of your heart for God's work. You show me someone who keeps records, and I'll show you someone likely who has a heart for God, really wants God to do something. Second, records teach us. Now, records will teach you patterns in your ministry that may need to be corrected so they don't happen again. So many people don't realize their downtimes in the ministry often happen at the same time every year. Every church is different. And so that's why you got to keep records. You can do something to avoid regular downtimes if you study your records. Illustration. In my church, I was talking to another preacher friend of mine, and I said, this month tends to be the tougher months. And then this month is always the better month in giving. And the pastor told me, he said, that's not the same for me. But see, every church is different, but they teach us something. Third, records help us to organize better. So you cannot be organized and not keep records, because records are the key to organizing. Those who do not keep records are often disorganized, and they're not passionate about what they're doing. A disorganized church often keeps no records. You will never find a thriving church that doesn't keep detailed records, because those records help keep a thriving church motivated and organized. Fourth, records encourage you. Now, you may think you had a bad day, but when you look back to a prior year to see what you did on the same day, you'll likely find that your day was better than the previous year. So records encourage you on down days to show you that you're growing. So you got to understand, they can be an encouragement to you if you keep them. Fifth, can I tell you, records convict you. Sometimes records will reveal that you're not growing. And then which means they should convict you to step up your efforts for the Lord. Many people don't know how bad they're really doing because they have no records to see their demise. Many don't know when the last time was that they led someone to Christ because they had no records to show them. Record keeping is critical to motivating you when you're not doing well. I keep records of my soul winning and people baptized, and boy, it changes my prayer life and my zeal to do something when I can see what I'm doing, what I'm not doing well, as well in the church. Six, records will grow you. Your records show you the steps you need to take to improve. So you show me the Sunday school teacher, the bus captain, or the pastor who keeps detailed records of what they do, and I want to show you someone whose ministry is growing. Listen to me very carefully. And I wish people would get this. This is why you need to know the names of those. You've got to keep a detailed record of those in your Sunday school class, those in your bus. How are you going to know how? Okay, I'll tell my staff, we need to get onto this person. They've been missing church too much. And I can look at their record and I can see, because in a Sunday school class, I'll say they've only been in church 2 or 3 times in the year, or they've missed the last so many weeks. I'll say somebody needs to get on top of them so this doesn't happen. Now, how do I do that? That's records. Now, I know some people don't like that a church is going to do that. Why not? God does it. God's keeping records. You like it that God's keeping records so you get rewards in heaven. The problem is you don't want somebody to keep records on your non-attendance, your unfaithfulness, your lack of doing what you're supposed to do, because you know when someone calls you out in the carpet. And you say, well, I just don't think they ought to do that. No, you think that because you're backslidden. That's why you think that. Records are critical. Governments keep records. Businesses keep records. You show me a business that doesn't keep records, and I'll show you a business that's going to close down soon. A church should keep records. God does. Christians should keep records of themselves. My friend, I cannot ever stress the importance of record keeping. It helps you in many ways. Let me challenge you. Learn spreadsheets and learn how to start building those things to keep records of what you're doing. This year at the Old Past Conference, I want to teach a session on record keeping, things that I do to keep records. And it will help us. I know to some, they think, that's not that big of a deal. I'm telling you, records are critical to growing a church, a bus route, a Sunday school class, a business, whatever. You better keep those records. God did, and we ought to as well. Well, I hope this is a great help to you today. Now, let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone's having a tough time. Have a great day,